girl.
Hey, you. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I haven't seen you in so long.
It's been so long. I have an important question, though.
Yeah.
Because I've watched a handful of your Instagram.
Yes.
And your lighting is spectacular.
It's the ring light.
Okay.
Yeah. I bought it because I found myself needing like just an easy portable light for when I needed to do auditions somewhere. And I didn't want like a huge setup, just something easy. And this was really affordable. And it also, yeah.
No, go ahead. It also what?
No, it has it has like a tripod.
Yeah.
For your phone and everything. So it's been amazing for this.
I just bought one.
Did you?
I did. And can I play with the lights? I know this is.
Yes. Yes. Do it. Let's do it.
So hold on. Let's see.
Okay.
Is this like more of a blue?
More like that one looks good. I like that. Yours doesn't seem to be super bright. Are you a little bit further away?
Well, no, I also I can make it brighter.
Oh.
Look.
Okay, great.
But
I keep mine on maximum brightness.
I'm like, but I did this the other day with Carlos Gomez, who's on Baker and the Beauty.
I love him.
Mm-hmm. Love him. Mm-hmm. But I was like 10 minutes in, I was schwitzing.
They get hot. I have my window cranked open right now just because it's my only chance of vitamin D for the most part. But it gets hot with the lights and the sun. And
so
I keep my water bottle here. Stay hydrated, folks.
This is fascinating content. I know.
I love it. I love that you have one. And I want to talk about that more because, self-taping is going to be such a big thing out of this. And people are talking about ring lights all the time. And I've heard actors say, I heard you're not supposed to have ring lights because the white ring in your eyes is like kind of distracting.
I don't know that. Oh, I would never.
I know.
Here's the thing. If I'm looking at that, you're doing something else wrong.
1,000%. I'm so excited to talk to you. This is what I've been doing so much lately are these like myth debunkers and like, actors have so many rules that like their agent or their manager or another actor told them like, oh, you can't have a ring light for your self tapes. You can't blah, 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 blah. And like, I don't know where these came from. And
I will say that, what we talk about today is obviously going to be based on my experience
of course,
as an episodic TV casting director.
Yes.
I know that commercials are a completely different world. Maybe features are a little bit different. So, I'm not going to say that other casting directors are wrong about their opinion, but it's their opinion because it's Monday, not Tuesday. They feel that way about something. Yeah. So it's like, so let's debunk some.
Let's debunk some, but you're right. I always like to start off by saying, everyone has a different perspective. Some people love postcards. They are excited when a postcard, falls on their desk. Not everyone feels that way. So it's just, we'll talk. That's why it's nice to hear from other perspectives and see maybe what the majority is. So these actors can help spend their time a little more wisely.
But I will also just add that it's okay that everyone's going to have their own opinion and you have to just go with, whatever makes you feel the most comfortable. Like if you want a ring light, use a ring light. If you want to send a postcard, send a postcard. Not a single casting director will give you a blanket statement on behalf of the casting director.
Right. Totally.
Someone just said they got soft boxes. I don't even know what that is.
It's the lighting that. Yeah. What do you use in your room?
In my offices?
Yeah.
Well, either nothing, just overhead light because I don't necessarily need anything fancy. But the last couple pilots I've had, I don't even know what they're called, just sort of two stand-up lights with, I guess they're boxes.
Yeah, those are soft boxes.
So, yeah.
You have soft boxes, did you know?
I do. I didn't know that. I didn't know that I did.
Yeah.
But what's funny is that my entire camera and light kit is at Universal because I was on a pilot and they sent us all home and I never went I never went back to get anything because
Yeah.
I thought, well, in a
You'll go
couple
back.
weeks, I'll go back.
Yeah.
But now they won't even let us on the lot.
Yeah, it's so strange, you know, and things are changing, but very slowly. So, and there's so many articles out there, and there's so many ideas, and no one knows exactly how this is going to unfold. You know, no one has the supreme answer, but it's kind of nice to bounce ideas off each other and just hear, like, how do you think? First of all, how do you have any ideas as to how productions are going to go forward, and what are your thoughts on the virtual casting of all this?
Well, I only have access to what everyone else has access
Yeah.
to. I'm not in a secret club.
Yeah.
No one's calling
If
me.
you are, let me in.
Yeah. No one's calling me and saying, Sarah, let's brainstorm. No one's doing that. There are people that are far fancier than I am that are going to figure out what to do next. You know, for years I've been doing self-tapes.
Yeah.
If I try to bring an actor into the room and they're not available, I'll self-tape. I have hired so many people off of self-tapes, and I know that Erica just did a great Instagram story about like personal stories of how people were hired off self-tape. I have so many, from co-stars to guest stars to series regulars off of self-tape, pre-ring lights.
Yeah.
Because their acting shine through.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we're joking about the ring light, but I promise you that will not get you a job over someone else.
100%.
So my feeling is like, I don't know how quickly I'm going to jump into having sessions in a room. It wouldn't be up to me. It would be up to the studio, whoever's hiring me. I won't be able to make that decision, or the governor. Like, I wouldn't be able to make that decision myself.
Right.
I'm not auditioning for anything because there's no jobs. When there's production that starts, that will be the time for the conversation for casting and how we're going to facilitate sessions. Yeah.
Obviously a lot of what people are saying, and yes, to clarify, there have been no decisions. There are no secret groups, right? This is all speculation, right? These are all just our own thoughts and ideas that we're kind of bouncing off. But what a lot of people are saying is that they do think, everything is about, once it opens up, every article that you've read is no matter when a phase opens up, there's still going to be social distancing, right? Which is pretty funny to think about, actors social distancing in a scene together. Like that's just not going to happen. And so there's going to have to be obviously protocol to make it safe for them to not have to worry about that. But for us, just what we've been hearing is that there are going to be a lot more self-tapes.
But here's what I will say about self-tapes. And I don't know if you've done this or other casting directors that you've talked to. In the cases where I have hired an actor off self-tape, I have still called that actor to do the scene again with me on a Skype or FaceTime.
Interesting.
I have watched their additional material. I have called other casting directors that they've worked with. So it's not like I have watched an audition cold and hired that actor.
Of course. Right.
So for instance, several pilots ago, I tested a girl that was based in Atlanta. She self-taped. I did a Skype session with her because I didn't want to put her on an airplane and fly her to Los Angeles because she had a fluke of a great audition. Like, can you do that again? Because self-tapes you can have all day long. You could coach with someone. So I want to know that it wasn't just a fluke self-tape.
Of course, yeah. Oh, yeah. I actually, what we've done in that scenario is there was a girl who we hired for a series regular role a couple of years ago, and she had never done anything in her life. She had no credits. She had just graduated from school, but the agent sent me a self-tape she did recently, and it was really great, and she was totally right for it. So we had her self-tape, and she was unbelievable, but she was in New York, so what we did is, to make sure that she wasn't a fluke, is the writers actually wrote her additional scenes and just kind of expected like a quick turnaround and said, well, you did a great job with these 2 scenes, but this is a huge role. and I don't know what the writers are going to want to throw at you. So I want to make sure she can do, maybe in the future she has a really big like ragey scene, or you know, we don't get to, there might be a love story down the line. So I want to see more of that flirty side. So they wrote 2 scenes for her, and she freaking nailed it, and she got it.
I wish more producers, writers would do that, because often we'll hire an actor based on the audition material for the pilot or the project. And then 3 episodes in, or 6, or 2 seasons in, they have the actor, you know, there's a change in the character, or they have to show something that they didn't have to do in the audition. And the producers turn to us and say, well, you know, they're not very funny. It's like, well, you didn't ask them to be funny.
The episode we read wasn't funny. You never said that this was going to end up being a funny role.
Right.
I that happens so often. And this is why I talk about the importance of reels, and again, all opinions, all perspective, but, you know, there's a lot of talk out there between having separate clips and a full reel. And it's interesting because, you know, coming from both the non-serialized shows like Criminal Minds, and then doing mostly serialized shows where there's big arcs and recurring roles, you need to be able to see range and ability so that you don't run into those issues. Whereas if you're just casting off, oh, look, he's played a lawyer before, so he can play a lawyer. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't, if it's a recurring role, I just want, if you're a great actor, I know you can play a lawyer.
Yeah. So
that's something that I always advocate for, is when actors are like, oh, but you have to have this and this and this to show me this. But it's not this tiny little box. We're shooting a series. Like, there's a story here, you know?
Right.
And I want to be able to show my writers that you're so amazing that they want to write more for you.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. You should have your own shows. What you should have.
What?
You should have your own show.
But, you know,
much information.
Yeah, because people spend so much time on these rules. And again, yes, everyone has it. And I'm not against them, but I'm just saying, think of the bigger picture. It's about telling stories, and you want to show, and we're not looking for all your doctor footage to play a doctor. You know, you're an actor, and it's okay to market yourself as an actor.
Yes.
That to give permission for yourself to market yourself as, I'm an actor and I'm a great actor. Yes. And you don't have to pigeonhole yourself in something.
So the other one thing that happens a lot with reps is, if, let's say, I'm looking for a doctor, they will pitch an actor and say, well, that actor just played a doctor on this show. I go, well, then I definitely don't want to hire that actor.
Right.
Because I don't want an actor that played a doctor in one show to also play a doctor on my show. That's not very creative of me.
Right.
Like, so in fact, that's a terrible pitch.
Right.
I don't want to hire an actor who's always playing a doctor on shows.
I think that is so insightful for you to say that, because I think for a lot of actors, they don't think that way. They think, you said, we're creative collaborators. We're not, you know, taking a puzzle piece and trying to match it up with exactly what we see on the page. We're trying to expand horizons.
Also, think about, you know, the producers, the studio, the network. Why would a network, let's say, want to be in business with, if I'm hiring an actor to play 6 episodes of a doctor, why would the network say yes? Because that actor also did 6 episodes as a doctor on this other network. Like, they
that's not going to happen.
No.
Yeah. They're looking at, you know, they've read the scripts. They are in the know of the concept, you know, and they are making sure, they're hopefully trusting our judgment and making sure that aligns with the information that they have, you know.
Someone just said, it's hard to do this.
It's so hard, right?
Focus on you, but people have really kind of cool things to say. It's like,
I know.
You know, this goes back to many years ago when I was lucky enough to work on ER, and people would pitch, and I'm sure this happens on medical shows or lawyer shows, where, you know, if an actor happens to also be that thing in real life, like a paramedic in real life or a masseuse in real life, it's a terrible analogy now because it's so old, but like George Clooney was not a pediatrician on ER. I mean, in real life, but he played one on TV.
Right.
So it's like, in fact, I don't necessarily need to, just because you were an EMT in real life, actors play EMTs.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And there are, every once in a great while, somebody will ask for someone that with that actual skill.
Right.
But someone says jokingly about going to med school. Please don't go to med school to play that.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's what you're referring to. I saw a comment that said, I hope agents aren't watching this. And I was thinking, I hope they are watching this.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just about working together and expressing, hey, this is what helps us. And then this is going to help you, you know? And it's not about like, oh, well, they think this way, but like, let's talk, let's collaborate and say, oh, you know, this is what makes a really great pitch, because we don't do that enough. You know, we don't have the time in the day to say, hey, this is effective, and I actually don't have time for this.
Well, I do. I mean, I don't know if agents are watching or not, but
if you're an agent, let us know.
Yeah, raise your hand. More often than not, I'm sure maybe a lot of casting directors may feel this way, is an agent or manager will call or email or send a breakdowns everyone on their client list for a role.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm looking at. I have thousands, literally thousands and thousands of submissions. But if an agent calls me and says, hey, I just saw this breakdown. There's this one actor that I think I read the sides, because
I love that.
Yeah. A lot of times they have access to the sides ahead of time. I read the sides.
There's James.
Sorry?
James Symington is in there shouting out. We got a manager. Okay.
Great. If an agent or manager can like read the sides and call and say, you know what, I've read the sides, and now of the 12 people that I submitted, in fact, this one person really makes the most sense. Will you give that one person a chance? And I was an agent for 11 months.
I don't think I knew that.
Yes, at Green and Associates.
Oh, great.
I lasted 11 out of the 12-month contract. Another Instagram story.
So,
the agent that I worked for did that, was able, like, read the sides and then called the casting director and said, actually, this one person is really the most right for it. And I really appreciate that. Although I understand as an agent, too, that your job is to get clients appointments. But if you are getting appointments for clients that aren't really right, I, as the casting director, will remember that and not give that agent or manager a chance again.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact of the matter is not every client is going to be right for every role, especially when you're talking about the agents, managers who are always calling about the same person.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And it's
sometimes think it's that person.
Yes. I definitely have this theory. I am very certain that there are a few managers who don't exist, but they are actually the actor.
Thank you.
And we probably think of the same person.
Yeah. Or they're dating or married to that person. I'm like,
maybe. I'm fairly confident that one example is the same person. We can talk about that after this.
Oh my God. Amazing. Or they're being framed for something. And I'm like, why are you always framing that person?
Yeah. And I'm like, there's no way that they're right for the serial killer and the college love interest, like, and the famous rapper. Like, they're not right for all of these roles, you know?
So on that note, though, if I can just add, I feel that way about actors and casting directors. That for actors, there are casting directors you're never going to meet. Yeah. And there are thousands and thousands of actors I will never meet. And that is okay. Yeah. I'm sure you are. I get constantly emails, direct messages. Can I audition for you? Can I audition for you? It's like, first of all, for what?
Right. Nothing's happening right now.
I also don't have a job. I know you don't have a job, actors, but neither do I. Right. And also, are you really so right for the project that I'm casting that you're insisting that I meet you right now? Yeah. Like, know your audience. Like, yes. Focus on the casting directors that are working on projects that you're actually right for. Because the truth is, you're an actor. You probably feel like you can do all the things as an actor. I promise you, there are certain things that you're really good at. The same way as a casting director, like, could I cast a kids show for Nickelodeon? Probably.
Figure it out. No.
I can figure it out. Yeah. But I would much better be suited for an FX 1-hour drama. I'm going to focus my energy on meeting those producers and those writers.
Yeah.
The same way an actor, it's okay. You know, it's so overwhelming, especially now because so many casting directors are out there offering free Q&As or seminars or whatever classes and opening up their DMs. And every actor wants every casting director to know them. It's like, it's okay that we don't.
Right. It's not we're not a dartboard.
No.
You know,
Thank you.
You don't just want to throw something and see what sticks, you know. I always talk about being an intentional actor with everything, you know, being intentional with your time, with the choices that you make, with the casting directors that you're speaking to, with the roles that you're emailing them about. And I do get a lot, especially when I am back at work and I am working, getting emails from the same actors for every single role. And they're actors that I generally like. But I'm like, you know what, you're not, you know, this isn't your role. And I think you know that, you know, and if you're genuinely right for it, one, I'll probably see your submission. And if I don't, then if you're genuinely right for it, great. Like I'll bring you in, but by doing that over and over again, it's like crying wolf. I'm just not going to take it as seriously. And it's just going to be more annoying, you know?
Bottle that up and sell it.
Yeah. I'll take another swig of what this is the happy hour water edition. I have so many other questions. So talking more about self-taping, I think it's going to, because once we all go back to work and we're so eager to go back to work, I know all of us are, it's hopefully going to get really busy and the studios are going to want to just throw money at everything and just get content out there. I mean, hopefully, right? And we might not have as much time to connect with actors in this way, but I think there's a lot of information they need to know to be successful in this new space. And yes, there's not much different with it's still acting. It's still the best performance is going to shine through, but there's certain technical etiquette, right? With an audition, you obviously want to make sure you're on time. And if you can't be on time, you want to be able to communicate. And something that I want to take this time to talk about are specifically like self-tape deadlines, you know, because there's just so much freedom there. And when we're going to go back to work, we're going to be depending on these. And I think we need to talk about that and why they're important and how our process stops when we're waiting for people.
Well, I'm just going to backtrack my deadline. If it's Tuesday at 10 a.m., it's going to be Monday at 10 a.m. because everyone thinks, oh, the deadline is Tuesday at 10 a.m., so they're going to send it at 9:58. You know who else does? Everyone else.
Yes.
And not only, like, once it hits our inbox, we have to download it, then upload it. Or what I've done is when I've sent out the audition for self-tape, I've sent a link for the actor to upload directly onto. You've done that. You do that.
Yeah,
right?
EcoCast. Do you use
EcoCast
EcoCast?
or Cast It?
Cast It. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if you wait until the very last minute, I probably will have watched other auditions by then. And there's always the chance where a writer, director, producer, or studio network say, you know what, we need to move faster on this role because of prosthetics. So, you know, look through the submissions that you've gotten thus far, and anything that comes in after that, too late.
Yeah, or I've had many instances. This recently happened on a series a couple years. I guess it's not so recent. It was 2 years ago. But we were getting self-tapes, and then we saw the self-tape, and it was in the top 3 best self-tapes I've ever seen in my life. I must have seen it to date maybe 250 times. I still like bust it out like a creeper and watch it from time to time because it was unbelievable. I hope to one day have the opportunity to like broadcast that in some way because it was just amazing. And no, we weren't needing to cast by that day, but it was mind-blowing. And Jessica and our hearts were like bursting out of our chests, and we had to send it to our showrunner immediately, and she felt the same way, and then the producers felt the same way. And it was just like boom, boom, boom. And by the way, this was a show where their approvals were like days. It just took days, and they had to talk and blah, blah, blah. And for this one, it was immediate. Like, get on him, get it, you know? So sometimes that happens where we're going through and we see someone, we're like, stop everything, we're going to send this, you know?
And why someone just asked, what was it about that audition?
Oh my God. You know, and it's nothing specific, but he was able to, and it had nothing to do with the camera he was using or the lighting or whatever, but it's everything that you see when you're watching a great actor. He was able to connect on a level that no one was able to connect at.
Yeah.
There were things you could see going on behind his eyes that were just fascinating.
Yeah.
And that's great acting, you know?
Yeah,
it's not
great acting, but it's also a great example of that was meant to be his role.
Yeah,
and that's
it was
not
100%
to say,
supposed to be his role. Yeah.
And that's not to say the other actors that you watched weren't incredible.
Yeah.
Did my light go off weird?
I don't think so.
Okay. It's not to say that the other actors were not amazing or that someone else in that group isn't going to win an Oscar someday. But for that particular role in that moment on that show, no, and the fact that you and Jessica knew your producers' taste in actors, everything came together the right time.
It just all came together.
I don't understand why I wish actors could tell us why wait to the last minute or why ask for an extension.
Right. So here's what I'll say about that. You know, I do want to say, I see a lot of actors commenting, yes, get it in ASAP. I mean, there needs to be a balance. You want to put in the work. You want to do the research. Like, if you get an appointment, you don't need to send it back that same day if it's due in 3 days. That's not going to get you bonus points, you know? So I just want to make that clear. It's not like, oh, they were first. Like, let's definitely send them. Like, that's not how it works, you know? But just take your time, and just be intentional with it and take the time you need, but don't wait on it. And sometimes, even though apparently pilot season might be obsolete after this, but maybe there are busier times for you as an actor and you are off shooting something, and because of that, this is your 5th self-tape request and you are overwhelmed.
Yeah,
just communicate.
Just tell me.
Yeah.
Just
don't
hey.
attempt it. Yeah. And that's when you sort of have to prioritize what's important to you. If you're getting 5 auditions and one is a short film and a student film and a big studio feature and maybe like a cool up and coming web series, like, I'm not saying one is better than the other, but just prioritize and communicate as quickly as possible. Cause that's, yeah.
I mean, if an agent or manager or an actor says to me, hey, I'm shooting this thing, you know, I need an extra day, by all means, you can make that request. And then it's up to us to say yes or no.
Yeah.
But if you don't communicate that request, then there's no way for us to know. It just sort of shows up. Or when it's just late without a heads up that it's late.
And I do want to quickly talk about unsolicited self-tapes. Because again, everyone has their thoughts on that. What I have to say is, one, I do think that in general, we're going to have the ability to see a lot more actors right now because we're going to be self-taping. So that gives us more time in the day. We're not constricted to like session times and hopefully not still bogged down by the phones. I don't really know. But with that said, what drives me crazy? I don't know if you watch unsolicited self-tapes, but I do. Because go ahead.
How are unsolicited tapes getting in your inbox?
Oh, they just don't, you know, Piata people get scripts.
I know. I just if I request a self-tape, it's one thing. I'll obviously watch that because it meant you were submitted or I wanted to see you audition. But if I'm getting,
I'll tell you. Go ahead.
When am I watching unsolicited? Like, let's just say I'm working on a pilot. I'm behind closed doors seeing actors all day. And then I'm watching self-tapes at night while trying to eat, dinner or watching an episode of Good Girls catching up. And then it's the weekend I'm watching self-tapes. And those are just the people that I requested.
I know.
So unsolicited, it's like, can you imagine if you or I unsolicited walked into a job interview?
Right. That's
you were
true.
saying, but
That's a funny
you
way.
watch unsolicited self-tape.
So what I was gonna say is I don't watch it because I feel like I owe anyone a favor, but because I then feel the burden of what if this was the person and I didn't see it, and I'm always trying to be the best, you know, casting director I can. So I want to make sure that I'm not like, what if that person was a huge discovery that I missed? So I need to work on, maybe I don't need to see that or whatever. But what I would prefer is we know what we're looking for, right? So I would prefer the agent to say, hey, just email me and just say, you know, can she self-tape for this? Yes. Because many times there are things that we know about the character that they don't know, and I can very easily just say, not right for it.
Yeah.
You know
what? Sometimes an agent or manager will say, listen, you know, I can't get, if I won't bring them into the room, they'll say, would you watch a self-tape? Yeah. And I'll say, by all means, send it, and I will do my best to watch it. Mm-hmm. But if it is a self-tape from an unrepresented actor and they get the breakdown somehow, let's say you're saying unsolicited, but still through an agent or manager, because I'd watch that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll watch.
It depends on the actor. If it's just, I can't, you have to set, and it's not me being mean. To stay sane, you have to set a precedent for yourself, you know? So if it's a random person that I have no idea who this person is, and it's not through an agent or manager, I have to stop there, you know? Yeah. Or I am never going to see my kids. I'm never going to sleep. But if it's an unrequested self-tape from an agent or manager, then sometimes I will watch. But what I would prefer, even if it's an emailed actor, I would still prefer that they ask me, and I'll respond, you know, for the most part, unless it's some ridiculous email, just saying, hey, especially if it's an actor that I know, any chance I could tape for this? And I'll say, you know what, thanks for emailing me. You're not right for this one.
Yes, you can ask that question. Absolutely. Because then what happens is that if we don't respond, they send it. Then they follow up saying, did you watch it? It's like,
yes.
In what time of day do you think I have time to watch
right.
unsolicited self-tape that I didn't even ask him? I have to get through the self-tapes I did ask for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sound.
Was that you? Do you have a dog?
No, it's garbage day.
Oh.
Or it's not garbage day. I don't know what that is.
That's right, it is garbage day. Need to get on the what day is it anymore? I mean, Friday. Really? Does it really matter? Okay. So let's talk about, moving on from self-tapes and kind of just knowing that deadlines matter. You don't have to spend a ton of money on a self-tape setup. We know that your acting really needs to come through. Something that I think is going to be really important also is we're not going to have the ability to direct you that easily anymore and give you redirects. I have always, even before this, if I see potential, had someone retape with notes, right? Yeah. But it's usually like a small handful out of each role. It's not because I don't have that many self-tapes generally. So now if we're talking about all self-tapes, it's going to be so vital that actors do their own job and their own research and read every single direction, because I guarantee you there are going to be very specific character notes that we are going to be giving you to set you up for success, you know? And we're doing this for you right now so that we don't have to go back and retape this whole thing, so that by the time you're already driving on the 405 and you get a call from your agent that says, hey, she wants you to retape with notes, you're not going to stress about it, you know, and you are going to have to make your own choices and decisions, but just really take that extra moment to say, this is the casting director wrote me all of this for a reason, you know, so
I know that I've seen Erica talk about this a lot too. It's like on Twitter, like, we give these notes for self-tape instructions specifically. Like, hers are different than mine, or mine are different than Eric's, or whatever. But it's like, read all the instructions. Like, for instance, like the audition, I want separate from the slate, because sometimes an actor thinks they're being really funny and cute, and you know, it's like, hi, I'm Sara Isaacson, I'm you know, whatever the height is, and I'll see you on set. It's like, I don't want to send that slate. But if it's in the audition, the actual scene, I have to take the time to cut the audition. So some casting directors want the slate. And so read the instructions, please.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, absolutely. And in talking about slates, 99% of the time you're going to be asked to slate. And it does serve a specific purpose, you know? And I think actors are like, oh, I forgot to slate, but like, you got my name and no big deal.
No.
But, yeah.
I want to know if you're 4'2" or 6'7".
Yes. Because you can say you're 5'10", but that means nothing if you're sitting in a chair.
Right.
And the producers don't have a chance to be in the room with you. They're taking a big risk by hiring you and not meeting you. They want to be able to see us. Okay, who's the actor that we're getting? You know, and that also and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but that also goes with, it's a minor detail, but instead of panning down, just doing a full body shot, because a pan can be really, not really telling the truth of what you look like, you know?
Give me a wide shot. You know, someone just said beginning or end. Again, every casting director is going to be different. But for me specifically, I want to slate at the end, because I want, when my producers are watching an actor, I just want to see them act.
Same.
Because if an actor is doing a slate and trying to be funny and cute and it's off-putting, I want to put that at the end. So that way I fall in love with you before I watch the slate. You know, what I don't ever want an actor to do is give me their age. I don't know. People like, I am, Sara Isaacson, and I'm, 25. It's like, oh, I need you to be 16.
I know.
Now
I
no
know.
one's going to believe you as.
I know. And the
16.
producers get so in their head about it, and they can't shake it. So we're trying to help you.
Yeah, read the instructions is what we're saying. Yeah.
Somebody said, okay, when shot on an iPhone, shot vertically or horizontally, I think we can both agree horizontally. Okay, but horizontally.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a joke. So I'm saying, when I do my slates, I want to give a tour of my apartment, which obviously we don't need to see. But I mean, that really just goes with slating in general. It serves a specific purpose. It just shows us, yes, I'm really 5'10" or whatever it is. Name and height. Sometimes they'll ask you for the awkward profiles. Don't make a meal out of it if they ask you to do it. Like I personally don't do it unless you're maybe if I'm casting the younger version of someone and I really just want to make sure that they physically look like the older version, like maybe I'll ask for it. But people get so awkward by it and they like pose. It's just like, it's informational. Like,
And also, if the scene has an accent, I want to be able to hear what you actually sound like too. That also helps. And sometimes if I can't pronounce a name, but it's you say your name at the end helps me be like, oh, it's pronounced that way. Tara, not Tara. That way I can educate myself on you because of the slate.
That's actually a really good point about accents, because I've seen a lot of instances where British actors, for example, want to show how great their American is, and they'll do the scene in American and then they'll slate an American again. And I didn't know that they were British, and I didn't even think to ask about a visa situation because it was never brought up before. And the American was perfect. And all of a sudden we get further and further down the process, and they're like, okay, so like a visa's okay, right? And I'm like, and I'm like, it's an O1 blanket visa, right? Like, that's also super helpful information.
Yeah, I will say sometimes it'll be like a slate and then like where they are based.
Yes.
But again, a lot of times people, I can see people asking questions, and I get this question all the time about slates and whatever. But if a casting director is going to put that in the instructions, and if it's unclear, ask.
Yeah, ask. Absolutely.
Just clarify. I just want to make sure I put everything I need in the slate.
You're not bothering anyone. I mean, that hopefully we have like a good enough staff where they're not bothered by all of these questions, and like you're not infringing upon anything. So someone said they were confused about shooting horizontally and then right, I mean, that's what you would recommend. I mean, that's what I would recommend. People are like confused by doing it that way, and then the full body. I honestly think if you're obviously gonna do your slate separately, obviously just do your slate vertically. It doesn't matter if you're, I don't care, if your self-tape was shot like this and then it all of a sudden turns to this. Who cares? It's just, I think the biggest problem with all of these myth debunking is that they think it's like, I think of it as like actors thinking they're turning in like a fancy book report and everything has to be beautiful and their reel has to have like a flashy montage and it all has to be a presentation, and they're all just tools.
It's
you know,
and none of it matters if you're not a good actor.
Yeah. Right.
So I appreciate all these like really specific questions about setups and ring lights and slates and when to submit, when not to submit. None of it matters if you're not in an acting class every week, all the time, up on your feet. And I don't mean like a scene, like an audition class. I mean the craft of being an actor. Like starting from the very beginning, like train as an actor. Read books written by actors. Read books written by casting directors. Read books, read novels. Like, you know, I usually tell people to travel, but I guess you really can't, you know. Have your heart broken. Read, learn another language. Like, live your life, right?
Yeah.
And then opportunities will find you. But let's not worry about ring lights and camera setups if you aren't a skilled, trained, thoughtful, smart actor.
Yeah.
Because it shines through. I don't care if you have a beautiful setup. We can tell if you are a smart, thoughtful, trained, skilled actor.
Yeah, and I've told this story for people who've been listening to these a lot lately. You've heard this story probably 3 times now, but I'll say it again. We've cast an actor who in their original self-tape was on their family farm with a cow walking behind them, which was like the most ridiculous thing ever, right? And we all got a good laugh at it before we sent it to anybody, but it's like what our job is to find the best actor for the job. That's our,
we could see through all of it. I promise you.
Yes, totally. I'm listening. I'm just.
Hi from Italy. Hello.
Oh, cool.
That's real.
Yeah. Study your craft. I'm just reading through some of these and seeing if there's anything interesting on before we keep going on. So we answered the slating and an accent. Okay. I mean, this is like a pretty basic question. Can you see that?
Yeah. You guys cast a non-union actor for. Do you want to go first?
You can go ahead.
I have. Does that go away? Okay.
Oh,
I have.
I'll take it away.
For a very specific. Oh, there he goes. I have totally Taft-Hartley so many people over the years.
That's actually really interesting because that was going to be the opposite of what I had to say.
Oh yeah,
talking about
it. It depends on what it is. You know, I mean, like a young person, not
yeah.
30-year-old. No,
yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't say that 30 is not young. I just mean like a young person or like someone with a really.
But young, do you mean like a child actor?
Yes. Okay. Or even a teenager, like an actor coming out of school.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really, yes, I've Taft-Hartley'd a ton of kids. The last series that I was doing right before shutdown, I Taft-Hartley'd quite a bit, but it was a very, very specific show. We needed a 3 to 4-year-old who had cerebral palsy,
my goodness.
and who looked like our lead because it was the younger version of him. So obviously,
I Taft-Hartley'd Belisa, who is the daughter on The Baker and the Beauty, and she's. Well, I don't want to age how old she is. I don't want to say how old she is, but she's, not 12 and not 20. She's the series regular of a show, and
that's amazing.
She was repped by an agent that I trusted and liked.
Yeah.
And she had come out of a showcase that I hadn't seen, but they signed her, and I Taft-Hartley'd her.
Yeah.
Now she's
and just to be clear, the reason why we Taft-Hartley like the younger people or the specific people is because there is a process, obviously that we have to go through when Taft-Hartleying. And what I have noticed in the past few years is that SAG has not been as forgiving with your application as they have been in the past. So they're very, just in my personal experience, they ask a lot, they're trying to protect their members, which is what they're supposed to do. So, if there has to be an extremely viable reason why this person needs to have the job over all of their union members, you know, which is very much the case for, hey, Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
Very much the case for working in Canada too, and wanting to work that market. You know, the reason they get those tax incentives up in Canada is because they are promising a certain percentage of employment to their actors, to their crew. And so they have to prove to ACTRA that they have in fact looked for a certain percentage of actors.
Yes.
So it's just the unions protecting their members, and that just to kind of say, you know, we're not being selective or picky, but SAG not working non-union. So, and the one thing that I want to say is, and I said this before too, but a lot of times actors jump into joining because they think that's going to make them a more viable option, like when going through submissions. So do you take that into any consideration?
What, the actors joining?
If someone's SAG eligible versus SAG.
Oh, well, my assumption is that, well, it's good to know so I can prep producers and say this person's SAG eligible, they're going to join, just so you know, just so you know. No, because if you're the right actor for the role, I can't think of a time where I hired someone over someone else because of that.
Yeah. And I think it's important to know, like you said, we assume you're going to join if you get this job, but I have had an instance of a one-day co-star, which we know one-day co-star is not going to buy you a house, you know?
No.
And she was a must join, you know, and the only thing that did was we have to then go back and have them pick a new choice, which is, as you know, a very frustrating experience for us.
They're saying we can't. Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry. I didn't even notice that.
I can hear you.
I can hear you too. That's so weird.
Huh.
Missed everything.
Oh no.
Wait. Can anyone? Good now. Okay. What did you guys miss? I need someone to take leadership. Anyway.
Maybe they missed the part about your co-star actor.
Yeah. So I'll just sum that up. We went to hire an actress who was a must join. She was SAG eligible, and this was going to be her third union job, making her a must join. And we just assumed, well, she wants to be an actor, obviously she's going to join. And it was a one-day co-star, which, as we talked about, is not that much money. It's like $1,000. And then when the reps take their percentage and the taxes are taken out, it's a few $100s, you know. And didn't have the funds to join at the time, and so she ended up passing on the job, which is obviously frustrating for everybody, because then we have to go back to our producers and say pick someone else, and nobody wants to do that. So we assume that you being SAG eligible, we're going to look at everybody, but we assume that you understand the business side, and that your first job might not cover that payment, and that you're going to join regardless. And by the way, they do have payment plans, and they do have plans where instead of paying from your own money, I believe you can pay from every acting paycheck you get until you hit that $3,000.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to cover that. Question about notes and giving actors. What do you find to be the most common note that you give in the room, or now via self-tapes?
Be normal. Like, my feeling is, if you lead with authenticity, kindness, knowing that we are here for you. We, you know, I've heard so many people say this over years. Casting director has a problem, and that is, I need to cast this role. I need someone to solve this problem for me. So help me. Let's find a way to like work this thing out together. We are here for you. We are advocates for you. We need you to be amazing and awesome. So lead with being a normal person. Don't try to stand out in any way. You're going to stand out by just being a good actor, because more often than not, people are not.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to do this other thing that isn't them. So if you come in and you are a grounded, thoughtful, smart, confident actor, and you're not trying to do other things to stand out from the person you heard in the, in the room before you, like, oh, Johnny did it that way, so I should do it that way. It's like,
I
no, in
know.
fact, you should
That
not do
trips
it the
them
way.
out. Yeah.
Don't do it like Johnny, and
Yeah.
just do it how you want to do it. How you are in the room is my only way of knowing how you will be on set.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't tell you how many people I have not sent forward to producers because of how they behaved in the lobby or in the room. Or the amount of times they've had to stop and start. I don't mind if you need to say, you know what, can I start that again? Or can I try that again? It's up to me to say yes or no, because sometimes I'll say no, thank you.
Yeah.
But if you are thoughtful about it and you don't stomp your foot or swear or say, oh my God, like 1,000 times, or I was amazing at home, like give yourself some excuse as to why you're not calling in the room. Full stop, end of story.
Yeah.
I have had so many actors say to me, oh my God, this never happens, or I would never do this on set. And I'm like, I don't know
apologizing.
You.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know you. How do I know that you're not going to do that? Or my favorite is, I just got these sides last night, so I'm not ready. It's like, well, if you got the job, you'd get the sides the night before, and sometimes that morning in your trailer. So you're already telling me that you can't do the job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine if you or I went in to producers on a pilot to interview for a pilot, and we said, I just read the script in my car, I'm not ready.
Right. I mean, it would be over.
It would be over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we just, I mean, what's the advice? Just like be a thoughtful, kind.
Yeah.
How do you want to be treated? It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah. I think something that Risa said the other day, which I really loved and I think is really true, is this kind of goes along with this, but it just kind of popped up in my mind, is when you have a question or something and you want to ask us something, or you're unsure about something, 90% of the times you know the answer, so ask yourself, like,
Great idea.
Like, what do you want me to, or even when you're in the middle of your scene and you feel like you're not in it. And I mean, you kind of just have to take that moment of, do I think I can push through? If so, push through. Like, if it's just a blip, I don't care about a blip.
I don't care at all, because again, could you imagine you being on set and there being a blimp and you stopping, but like in front of you is Edie Falco?
100%.
That's, if you're going to stop like that in the audition, again, how will I know that you won't do that on set? Not only with the actor in front of you, probably someone successful, or, but also a boom guy over you and 100 crew members or whatever. So just keep going on. Please continue the scene.
I mean, if you're literally thinking about, I don't know, the tapping that's going on in the other room, and you are so much more focused on anything else other than the scene, and you really know that it's in your best interest to start over, then do that. But most of the answers to these is basically what I'm saying, is it's going to pause again, but it'll come back. I don't know why this happens sometimes. Okay. I guess the whole takeaway is to really trust your instincts. If you come in and you want to start being flustered and blah, 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 like, do you think that in turn that's going to help your audition? Is that going to be helpful? Yeah. Or are you having such an off day where you actually really did just get the sides and you ran from the parking lot through the drive on and you're sweating and you also don't really know the lines? Like, is it better to just communicate that with your agent? I don't know why this keeps pausing.
Yeah, you're frozen, but I can hear you. I got you.
Okay. Anyway, I mean, it's about just being intentional and not trying to the more auditions I get, the more I'm going to book, because that's just not the way to think about it, you know, and to put everything into that audition. And I had so many other questions for you, but this went so quickly.
I know. So we talk too much.
I know. We need to chat
We'll do
more
it again
after this. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing